I know you're angry. I made the choice I made because I didn't want that for you. You deserved better. You still do.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mark Dark, and I'm back with another video. If you're new, if you love Bel-Air, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave your theories, comments, everything down below. Now today we'll be talking about Bel-Air Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale. This is the recap. Now I'm going to try my best to focus on all the key points in this episode. If I miss anything, you guys let me know down below. And man, what a crazy season finale, man. Your boy Marlon Wayans is Will's father. He plays Lou in the show. I saw some of you guys mention his name yesterday in my final predictions video. Well, I guess you guys were right. You got it down packed. And I had a feeling it was not going to be Will Smith. I did state that if it was Will Smith, the promotion would have been crazy, especially after the week that this dude just had at the Oscars. So you already know it would have blew things up even more. But even without Will Smith being, Will's actual father in the show, Marlon Wayans, man, he delivered. He definitely delivered. And if you're a fan of Marlon Wayans, if you watched him in his whole career, you already know that he has range and how talented he really is. We're used to seeing him with comedy and stuff like that. But when you see him in this dramatized show and, it's more serious type role for him, it goes to show you just how great of an actor that he really is. And his whole family is talented. They are very, very talented. We already know this. So I'm glad that he came to the show. I'm glad that he, once again showed us exactly what he can do. Now we got to wait and see what's going to happen. We know Will was having some issues with his pops. At times in the episode, it did seem like the two was going to, squash things and actually build, but that did not happen. It ended up being a very bad outing between the two. And now Will has a decision to make. Does he actually want to leave, or should he just stay in Bel-Air? At the end of the day, we know if he stays there, he will have a great opportunity to continue to build on his future. But we know eventually that's what he's probably going to end up choosing. But then again, it is a reimagined show, so we got to see how they're going to end up writing it out. At the end of the day, I see Will staying in Bel-Air when it's all said and done. But let's begin the recap. As I told you guys, I'm going to try to focus on the key points down below. And if I miss anything, you guys let me know. So what did we see in the season finale of Bel-Air Season 1? It starts off with everybody at this governor's reception for Aunt Viv. They're honoring her because she is now a part of the art fellowship. And once again, Will thanks Uncle Phil for everything that he has done for him, for pretty much saving his life. And as I told you, by Will opening up to Uncle Phil is going to make things even worse down the line once Will finds out the truth about what was really going on with his pops. Now we get to your girl, Ivy, and man, your boy Jazzy Jeff, he was on it. And for real, Ivy was on it. He asked her, "You're not going to poison me, are you?" And she said, "I don't know, maybe." So I'm looking like, okay, now I see what time it is. We already know what she's trying to do. She's trying to get those cheeks clapped, and your boy Jazz just may be the person to handle the business, right? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I always had a funny feeling about Ivy when it comes to doing business with Hillary. I always said that Hillary best to watch this girl. She can't trust her. Everything seems like it's good, but based off Ivy's facial expressions from the past episodes, it's letting me know that this girl has another agenda, in my opinion. And when she kind of flirted back at Jazz, y'all saw how Hillary was looking. She was like, okay, that's not about to happen. Just wait for season 2, man. This is going to build up, and I cannot wait to see the aftermath. Then we get to Reverend Lamont. He is having a conversation with Uncle Phil, and he's asking him, since he's out the whole DA race, what is he going to do next? Uncle Phil tells him he is just trying to focus on his family, take a break. He's not really trying to think about that as of right now. But that's what I'm trying to figure out. As I told you, we know in the original Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil was a judge. So we're going to see exactly what this Uncle Phil is going to be on in season 2. Now, Jazz ends up telling Will he needs to just tell Lisa how he truly feels. We know that your boy Will was having some issues with her trying to express his feelings, and she's not really trying to listen to him. But once Will goes over there and lets her know, like, look, I love you. I'm not going nowhere. I want to be with you. Your girl Lisa was speechless, and she had to go. She's like, look, we can just talk about this later. We know Lisa has the same feelings as Will, but everything is just so difficult, especially after Will did not tell her the full story about his past. But hey, it is what it is. We know at the end of the day, these two will end up being back together. We just got to wait until season 2 to see what's going to happen next, especially after Will end up leaving. Then we get to Jazz and Hillary, and it seems like your boy Jazz done clapped those cheeks. He is happy as hell, because I know I would. But he ends up telling Hillary some good advice that she needs to look at Ivy as a partner instead of a lifeline. We know how Hillary operates. She feels like, having Ivy around can help save her and, get her out of some sticky situations. But at the end of the day, looking at her as, somebody that she can partner up with is probably the best move, especially after what Hillary has been doing, what she's done for Jazz. She knows how to promote and bring out the best of people. Now, your boy Will, he kept blowing up her phone. He was blowing up Jazz's phone. He already knew Jazz was clapping those cheeks. And of course, Hillary is telling him, don't tell nobody. But Will says, look, he ain't even got time for all that. He just needs some advice on what he needs to do to get Lisa back. Now, Carlton understands that ain't no food up in the house. And he's like, man, this makes sense because Jeffrey is not here. Now, they all been trying to reach out to Jeffrey even though he's left. But Will's like, man, I know something's up because Jeffrey gave me the information about my pops. And he got a feeling that Uncle Phil did not like that. And that's the real reason that Jeffrey is gone. So now everybody wants to know what in the hell really happened. I mean, they want to know all the details because it's quite obvious that Uncle Phil continues to lie to them and they ain't going for that. I mean, he actually thought they was believing him in this episode. Now we get to your boy Reed. He is back and he's probably happy as hell that Aunt Viv actually wants to work with him. Now he does ask her, is Uncle Phil cool with everything? She states that everything is good. He ain't got nothing to worry about. She thanks him for the opportunity that he gave her. And she, of course, said, you believed in me. So now she wants to show that appreciation. She wants to make sure she is able to do business with him. And I'm going to tell you right now, this dude will try to attempt something down the line. It is not over yet. In his heart, and this is just my opinion, I believe he's like, okay, so she really wants to mess with me after all this that had just went down. I mean, this has to be the okay for me to make my move. So we're going to see in season 2 if Reed is really just trying to be friends with her, or will he make his move and say, you know what, I might as well try to clap those cheeks while I am at it. I got a feeling he will attempt to make that move down the line. What do you guys think? Now, Will, he's supposed to meet up with Lisa at this coffee shop to discuss their relationship and what could be next for it. But we do know Will ends up forgetting about this because his father comes into town and it changes everything. And speaking of his father, your boy Marlon Wayans has entered the Bel-Air universe. He is here. He is Lou. And man, he wasn't playing around as far as his role. And Uncle Phil was very surprised that he has popped up. Jeffrey has reached out to him and to tell him that, look, his son needs him. So Jeffrey been putting in that work. He said, look, I'm going to let this man know the truth about his son. And your boy Carlton, he's up on the stairs watching, plotting and planning, gathering information. So now he understands that his pops has some type of secrets when it comes to Will's father. He could not hear all the details because Uncle Phil decides to go into his office and talk. Now, we know that Uncle Phil was Lou's lawyer back in the day. We also find out that he's been out for the past 3 years. So he's been out for 3 years, ain't even popped up at all. And Will does not know any of this. And, when you think about it, he could have popped up. He could have reached out within those last 3 years. He does state that he didn't want to, come to Will because he's an ex-con. And that's the last thing that he wants his son to see. I guess he's been living in a halfway house and it's not been the best living situation for him. So he has all these different reasons on why he didn't reach out. But at the end of the day, if somebody really wants to see somebody, they going to make way for him. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make time and they're going to get to him. But in this particular case, that did not happen. He's pretty much saying that he's been trying to get himself together. It's been very hard for him, but he's not the same person he was in the past. And Uncle Phil tells him he needs to talk to Aunt Viv first and go over some details, and then they will make a decision on whether he's going to be able to see his son or not. And Uncle Phil tells her, like, look, this dude wants something. He pops up out of nowhere. He's been out for 3 years. He hears about his son living in the Bel-Air mansion, which we know Will reached out to him. So that's why he really came. But Uncle Phil believes that he is there for a reason, that he is trying to get something out of him. But they do end up agreeing on telling Will and letting him decide what he wants to do. Now, Carlton said, you know what? I ain't playing around no more. I want to go in and I want to get some intel because I already know his, Pop's gonna lie to me. Y'all know Uncle Phil ain't about to tell the truth. You got to go and get the truth because Uncle Phil ain't about to give you the truth. Now, Carlton takes the folder back to Will and lets him know that his pops has been there and he probably should read this information because it's some details about what really happened that he needs to know about. So Will at first was like, man, I don't know about that. But Carlton does convince him to read it. He reads it and he finds out the information about his pops and that his pops had a hard life growing up. It was very tough for him. Now Will does go back downstairs. He's having a conversation with Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, asking him why they can't just answer a simple question. Why have they been lying to him his whole life? Now, of course, y'all know what they gonna say. They gonna say what they've been saying this entire time. Like, look, we tried to protect you and stuff like that. Your father's a con artist, but they do end up telling Will that the decision is his to make. Like, do he really want to meet his pops? And you already know Will wants to meet his pops deep down inside. He's just very upset that he did not know the truth about his father. He's been locked up this entire time. He did not just walk away. He's been out for the past 3 years. Yes, he could have shown up, but Will is more upset at the fact that his family did not tell him the truth and pretty much just lied to him, telling him that his pops actually walked away from his life. I mean, just imagine growing up thinking that. In reality, it's a completely different story. Now, Will does have some sympathy for his pops because he's like, man, this dude had a rough life. I mean, his father was in jail as well. I mean, he grew up just struggling, had, a record at the age of 19, all types of different things was going on. So it's very understandable that he was going through a lot of tough times, but everybody deserves a second chance. And it seems like his pops did not get a second chance. This is what Will tells Uncle Phil. And we know that Will has a choice to make. Does he really want to go out there and meet his pops? Deep down inside, I told you guys he does, but he wants to make sure he calls his mother first. He asked her why have, she's been telling him a lie all this time. And she said they made this decision just out of love. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to protect him. He was 4 years old and they felt like that was the best move to make. At the end of the day, they thought that's what was best for him. And, these are the consequences of the actions that they made. Now, Will has finally made up his choice. He said, you know what? I do want to meet my pops. And the family, they was all waiting for him because they know this is a very, very hard time for him. And he's been wanting to know the truth since he's been there for real. And now it is time to finally find out what in the hell's been going on with his pops and what really happened. Now, it seems like Hillary and Ivy, they made, a lot of noise when it was at the event for her mom's. Everybody found out about it. Of course, they posted and stuff like that. It's blowing up. Now, Ivy is like, man, I need some assistance. I need some help on doing things. Of course, Hillary's like, look, I can be that person for you. But she also tells her she needs to get out this contract with Clio at this house. And maybe, Ivy could buy out the house. That way she can pretty much buy out her contract with Clio because she will own the house. And it would be a good idea if they all just rebranded. It's all sounding good, right? Everything is sounding good. But I'm telling you right now, it's like the devil that you do know versus the devil that you don't. If she believes that this is all going to go well with Ivy, I'm telling you right now, it's not. And we know it's not just based off the last 2 episodes. I mean, in the first episode we saw with Ivy, she was looking kind of funny. Like she wasn't really feeling Hillary like that. And in this episode, she was getting at your boy Jazz. And in season 2, I'm pretty sure Jazz and her are going to have a very, very interesting relationship because y'all know she gonna try him. I just can't wait to see how that's all going to play out. Now, Aunt Viv, she is not playing around with Lou. She is telling him like, look, you better tell him when you was locked up for those 13 years that you thought about him every second of the day and that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make him happy. And if you don't, if you end up messing this up, she will make sure she kicks him out the house herself. She wasn't playing around. Now, Lou, he was just sitting like, man, that's cute. Like I see you brought that filly up out of you out here. And he understands that maybe it is a good idea to tell Will that because to be honest, he's probably thought about Will. But if he didn't pop up in those last 3 years that he was out, he probably wasn't thinking about him enough to say, I need to make that move to be in my son's life. Now, Will finally meets his pops and he wants to have a private conversation with him. He's like, look, we need to go somewhere and talk alone. Now, Uncle Phil, he ain't really trying to do that. But Viv convinces him like, look, let them go and talk and hash things out. They need to sit down and have a more serious conversation, and we don't need to be around, at least as of right now. Then we get to your girl Lisa. She is upset. She's like, man, where is Will at? Like, he's supposed to be meeting me at this coffee shop. It seems like he done stood me up and lied to me, and she was pissed off. She doesn't know that Will's pops is in town, and we know later on in the episode, Carlton does tell her the truth about what really went down with Will and why he didn't show up at the coffee shop. Now we get back to Will and his pops. And for a slight moment, everything seemed like it was going good. I mean, he was talking about, the Sixers game that he went to with Will when he was about 3. And he asked him, does he remember it? And it seems like Will remembers some of it, man. I mean, going to a Sixers game, Iverson, seems like great times, right? Now, he does tell Will about his actual pops and how he grew up seeing his pops locked up. And he did not want that for Will. He said he grew up idolizing his father, and to go and see his pops behind that glass, every time he saw him, it got worse and worse and worse. He was pretty much a shell of himself, and he did not want Will to go through that. And he told Will that he deserves better, and he still deserves better. So it does seem like he did think about Will. He just didn't know how to actually, tell him this. It's still some things that they need to discuss. This scene, the whole scene between Will and his pops was very, very emotional. You have to actually just watch it and see how intense this actual scene was. And they did this purposely, in my opinion. If you watch Fresh Prince, and you know what I'm talking about, when Will's pops came into town, man, that scene when Will found out that his dad left, that was very, very emotional. And that's probably one of the number one scenes that I do remember from the original show, and they wanted to make sure that they delivered. I know a lot of fans wanted to see how intense this actually was going to be, and for Marlon Wayans to show us exactly how good he is, man, it goes to show you just how talented he is, as I told you guys earlier. Now, after they had that little small moment of, I would say, good times, it turned to the left very, very quickly, because Will asked his pops about his past and him being a con artist and the stuff that he's done in his crime. And Will states that his mom told him about some of the things that he's done. And your boy Lou was like, look, your mom was the one that pushed me to go out there and hustle. She was all over my back, 365, 24/7. And he called her ungrateful. And once he said she was ungrateful, Will got pissed off. He's like, look, you ain't about to talk about my moms like that. And all of a sudden they start arguing. And, Will and him got face to face. He grabbed him by his neck, telling Will that his mom was the worst decision that he's made in his life. And it got very, very physical. These two was going to squabble up in there, man. They was about to get the squabbling. But we know Uncle Phil came in there and he told Lou to keep his hands off of Will. Will was cussing his pops out, calling him all types of names, calling him a bum, this and that. Y'all know how it is, man. He wasn't holding back. This was a very graphic verbal argument. They did not hold any punches on this scene. This seems like I was like right there in the building when it was doing this. That's how serious it actually seemed watching it. Now, Will does tell his pops, like, look, I reached out to you. If I would have never reached out to you, you would have never probably even came to me. You've been out 3 years. What took you so long? We know Lou does tell him that he was just trying to, get himself together. And we hear this time and time again that people, they be trying to get themselves together before they make that decision to meet a certain person or to do a certain thing. Sometimes in life, you may just run out of time when you continue to wait. When it comes to Lou and Will, that's a very serious topic of discussion, because he's been locked up. He's seen what his father has been through. He has been through so much at the same time. Will has been through so much, not knowing the truth about his pops, and he suffered from that. And now we're seeing the aftermath. Hopefully, and I'm talking about hopefully, they can fix this. We know in the original show, things did not turn out in the best way. Now, Lou ends up leaving, and Will, he is very, very upset. So he is preparing to leave as well. And Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv is trying to get him to stop. He's upset with them, telling them that, look, we ain't family. Y'all lied to me my whole life. He's very, very angry at what these guys have done. Now, you let me know. They let this dude just take the car. I'm looking like, oh, hell no. I don't care if you mad at me or not. You ain't taking my car. Plain and simple. We keeping that, man. If you going to leave, go ahead and leave, but you're going to have to get the walking. You're not taking that Lexus, but that's just me. Your boy Carlton slides some money into Will's pocket, And, I think he was looking out for him just to make sure that his cousin was okay. Because at the end of the day, Will never gave up on Carlton. And he tells Hillary and Ashley that he loves them, and he ends up leaving. They are just letting him go out there and get some steam off. But as I told you, ain't no way I'm allowing the dude to just take our vehicle. And Aunt Vi, she even stated it later on in the episode, like, really? So y'all just let him leave? Now, Carlton does ask Uncle Phil about what happened to Jeffrey. Like, what's really going on? Of course, he's going to continue to lie to him. Now, Ashley and Hillary let him know, like, look, we know the truth about Jeffrey. Like, stop lying. This dude be lying so much, he be starting to believe his own lies. Eventually, all of these lies is going to get back to him. I mean, I guess they are already getting to him, but Uncle Phil definitely needs to realize that his kids, they're going to find out the truth. There's certain stuff that you tell the truth about, and there's certain stuff that you got to keep the truth away to protect them. But it seems like in this particular case, they ain't going for it, man. And they want to know, where in the hell is Jeffrey at? Now, Aunt Viv, she calls Aunt Vi and she lets her know that Will learned about his pops. He ended up leaving. Aunt Vi, she is upset. She's like, really? Like, come on. Y'all just let him leave. I knew I should have told him. I should have been the one to be there to let him know. And she was trying to do it when she was on the show in her episode, when she came out there. But we know she did not tell him. Now she is regretting it because she's like, look, I could have prevented all of this. My son would have been okay. I should have been the person to do it because I am the person that made that final decision to keep Lou away from Will. So you already know she's going through a lot of pain. Now your boy Carlton, he makes a trip to go see Lisa and he's like, look, Will is going through it. We cannot find him. And Lisa was kind of upset at first because she's like, man, Will pretty much ghosted me earlier. I don't know where he's at. Once Carlton tells Lisa that, look, Will has never gave up on him. He's always been there no matter what. It got to him, man, and he was crying. I mean, he really wants his cousin out there. Will and Carlton's relationship is definitely building up. In this episode, Carlton definitely did what he had to do to, get that information about his cousin, and hopefully the relationship will continue to grow in season 2. Now, the episode ends off with Will having a conversation with Jazz, and of course, he is telling him that he is leaving, that he is sick and tired of his family. His mom lied to him, and that no one really wants him. Now Jazz has to let him know, like, look, dude, you got a house full of people that want you here. We know that Will tells Jazz that, look, you told me when I got to this city, it was going to pretty much make me, forget where I came from. Now Jazz tells him, don't worry about any of that. Remembering where you come from doesn't mean you can't change your life for the better. I mean, you have, all these possibilities. You know what I'm saying? Look at this city. You have to make a choice. Where do you want to go? At the end of the day, Jazz was not lying to Will. I mean, he still has a bright future and it's still up in the air, but he has to make sure he makes the right decisions in order for himself to have a better future down the line. But man, overall, this season finale was great. Your boy Marlon Wayans, man, he showed up and he showed out. I hope we were able to see more of his character, and that wasn't just it. I hope in this reimagined show, they can actually show that you can get out, a prison and you can fix your lifestyle up and you can actually change and also have a healthy relationship with your kids. We know in life, everything ain't a fairy tale, man, but I really do hope he's able to fix those things with his pops because there's still some time out there for him to actually do it. But at the same time, we need both of them to step up to the plate in order to make this all come into play. But you guys let me know, man, what do you think about the season finale? Are you ready for season 2? I cannot wait. As I told you, it's already been renewed, so don't worry. But I do want to thank you guys for supporting me in this new series of Bel-Air. I cannot wait to continue to do more work for this show, and we're going to continue to talk about Bel-Air, man. Continue to get ready, especially for the next upcoming season. We're going to go over some storylines, different characters, and just, have some more discussions down the line. But thank you for all the love, all the support, and I will catch y'all on the next one. But let me get up on out of here, man. It's your boy Mark Dark. I'm out. Peace.